सिद्धांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती इति नामिने। श्रीवार्षभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः। माधुर्योज्वल प्रेमाट्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिद श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमः। नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनकारिणे रूपानुगविरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तध्वान्तहारिणे। नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्बरसाम्बोधे पदाम्बुजायते नमः। नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते। गौराविर्भाव भूमेष्ट निर्देष्ट सज्जना प्रिया वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथायते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरद्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। जयतां सुरतो पंगो मम मंदमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्भोजौ श्री राधा मदन मोहनौ। दिव्यात् वृंदारण्य कल्पद्रुमद श्रीमद् रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद् राधा श्रील गोविंद देवौ प्रेष्ठालिभिः सेव्यमानौ स्मरामि। श्रीमान् रासरसारंभी वंशी वटतटस्थित कर्षण वेणुसुनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रीस्तुना। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। तो हरे कृष्णा। As you can see from the background, I am back in Vrindavan. Very hot here. We're bathing in sweat. Vrindavan is extreme climate. In summer it is plus 48, 49, peak summer. Peak winter is plus 3, plus 4. So we were speaking about Govardhan. And at Jatipura, there is one Rudra Kund at Jatipura. Rudra Kund. So this Rudra Kund is place from where Shivji, he had darshan of all this Govardhan Leela. Then just some distance from Rudra Kund is Gulal Kund. It's a bit isolated place, neglected and ignored. It was a pretty big and deep kund once upon a time, now completely dried. This is where Radha Krishna the first time played Holi. Inauguration of Holi in Radha Krishna pastimes, Gulal Kund. As I said, it is a nice, peaceful, beautiful place, but the kund is very big and deep, but currently dried. It's a dry, big, deep kund. once you move ahead of Jatipura, then one of the prominent places which you pass through is Uddhav Kund. In Uddhav Kund, this is place where Uddhav resides in the form of grass called Gulmalata Vel. He resides in the form of grass in few places in Braj. There is Uddhav Kyari in Nandagram. There also he resides in the form of grass. In Govardhan he resides at Uddhav Kund, which is just back to back Kusum Sarovar. So both places, Kusum Sarovar as well as Uddhav Kund. So Uddhav basically was a cousin of Krishna, and he was a look-alike of Krishna. He used to look exactly like Krishna. He was also bluish blackish, and by face he looked like Krishna. Many times people would be confused from a far off distance. If they saw Uddhav, they thought it is Krishna. Same happened with the gopis when Krishna sent Uddhav to Braj to pacify them. Uddhav was a great scholar, and he was thinking he is also a great devotee. So just by being a great scholar, one cannot be great devotee. So that is the point which Uddhav was missing. So Krishna realized what is happening in Uddhav's mind, and he wanted to rectify him to understand that he may be a great scholar, but he is not yet a great devotee. So from Dwarka, Krishna told Uddhav that you see, you go back to Braj, and the gopis, they are, they are very lamenting that I have left Vrindavan, and they are in grief, and you go to them and please preach to them. Please preach to them that we are not the body, we are the souls. One should not lament. The same things which Krishna told Arjuna in Gita, there is no need to lament and this and that. You just perform your duties. So Uddhav, and Krishna gave him his personal chariot and the personal driver. He said, you take my chariot and his charioteer. And he said, you go to Braj now. So when Uddhav came to Braj, all these gopis, they were just looking in the direction of Dwarka. All day they would just, morning till night, they would just look towards the path which comes from Dwarka. And on that particular day, they saw dust rising into the sky from a long distance. I said, that means someone is coming. Every time dust would rise on the muddy path, they would think Krishna is coming. But then some farmer would come, some Brajvas would come. So they thought, maybe this time it is Krishna. Someone is coming in a chariot. And when the chariot came a little near, although it was very far, a little near, it came in their vision. They saw it is Krishna's chariot. So they were so happy. They thought Krishna is coming, because it was Krishna's chariot and Krishna's driver. This is how Krishna deliberately gave Uddhav all these facilities. And they were so joyful. They started singing, dancing, rejoicing, tears coming from their eyes. They don't know whether should be happy or what is happening. And then the chariot came a little more near. They saw Uddhav, who is also bluish blackish, although it was very far away to recognize who is there. So now it was confirmed that it is Krishna. The chariot belongs to Krishna, the charioteer is there, and also the person in the chariot is looking like Krishna. There was still some distance there. So they became more happy, started jumping and dancing and crying and laughing and singing. They don't know what's happening. And then when the chariot came and stopped in front of them, they saw it is Uddhav. And then you can imagine what would have happened to them. They said, "Hey, you Uddhav, you cheat." They immediately said to him, "You cheat, you are coming here to appear like Krishna. Do you know what is the difference between you and Krishna? You just cannot be Krishna just by taking his chariot and charioteer and looking like Krishna. You may be a big scholar, but you don't know anything about Krishna. You are just a cheat." Before even Uddhav could preach them some philosophy, they started. Somehow Uddhav came, and you are so cruel. We were already in so much pain because we are missing Krishna. And then we had some hopes, and there it was surety that it is Krishna because the chariot and charioteer is there and looking like Krishna. Now you have increased our pain million times. Already our pain was terrible, terrible pain. But just because of you cheating us like this has increased our pain million times. And they went back again into their, Uddhav was thinking of telling them something. And then the gopis started again in grief. They didn't look at Uddhav at all. Once they understood he is Uddhav, it's not Krishna, they were not even bothered. They ignored him completely. And they started again wandering around in the forest. Some gopi was going here and there, and Radharani was the most pain and separation. She would ask any tree, she would embrace a tree and ask the tree, "Did you see Krishna sometime yesterday? Was he here?" Then she would ask a deer, then she would ask a bumblebee. "You go around in the forest everywhere. You have more access to the forest areas. Did you see Kanhaiya? Did you see Shyam?" And Uddhav was trying, but no one was, although he was preaching, he had started speaking to them some philosophical points. He was completely ignored by the gopis. They were not at all bothered what he is saying. They were not even interested in trying to understand what he is saying. Just they were completely in the mood of separation, in grief, and a lot of pain, which was increased 1,000 times now because of Uddhav's. They had hopes that Krishna was coming, but it was Uddhav. So Uddhav, he just was watching and he didn't understand what's happening, but he understood that these Brajvasis, they love Krishna so much that even though I am such a scholar, I am a cousin of Krishna, I am so near to Krishna, I don't feel this love for Krishna. So slowly he understood that the Brajvasi's connection to Krishna is much more superior than what he thinks about himself. And this is what is bhakti. I am a jnani, but I am very far away from bhakti. So in a way, actually, Uddhav had come here to preach to the gopis some spiritual things, but he realized that it is other way around. I should learn so many things from them. And then Uddhav, he stayed here in Braj for 6 months. And he tried to understand from the gopis. He took instructions from the gopis. He had come to instruct. Krishna sent him to instruct the gopis. But when he observed the gopis, he realized that it should be the other way around. So he accepted instruction from gopis, and then he understood what is pure devotion. And then he was cleaned off his own misconception that he was a great devotee. So he was very satisfied that Krishna mercifully sent him here. If Krishna would have told him, "Go and take instructions about devotion from gopis," now because he was a great scholar and he had a bit ego about that. I am a great scholar and I am this, I know Krishna, I am cousin, I am so near to Krishna, and I should go to gopis and take instructions from gopis about Krishna bhakti. He wouldn't have accepted. Same case is with us. When we spend a long time chanting and a long time in ISKCON and this and that, and someone tries to explain to us something, and say, "I am 25 years and 30 years in ISKCON. I have done so much of chanting. I have seen ISKCON. I have seen the world. I am now 50, 60 years old. And what this chap is going to tell me? This chap will tell me what is devotion. This chap will tell me how to distribute books. But no, anyone may have a better idea than you. Even a non-devotee can have some better idea than you. Maybe you should not accept guidance or instructions from him, but ideas you can pick up from anywhere. So Uddhav, he took instructions, lessons of pure devotion from gopis, and after 6 months he went back to Dwarka. And he thanked Krishna. He said, now I have understood what is pure devotion, and I am very far away from it. So I want to achieve pure devotion, and pure devotion can only be achieved by accepting the dust of the pure Vaishnavas, dust from the lotus feet of the pure Vaishnavas on your head. Prabhupada also has mentioned a few times that whenever you see a pure Vaishnava, immediately you should accept the dust from his lotus feet on your head, somehow or the other, by hook or by crook. Normally a pure Vaishnava will not allow you to touch his feet. So Uddhav said that I want one benediction. Krishna said, what? Uddhav said, please, after this pastimes are finished and I finish off all this seva with you, please allow me to appear in Braj in the form of a grass on Govardhan Parikrama Marg in Nandagram, where I met the gopis at that place, and like this. Because whenever your devotees will come to perform Govardhan Parikrama or come to see this Uddhav Kyari, which is the meeting place of Uddhav and the gopis, naturally, if I am in the form of a grass there, they will step on me, and the dust from their lotus feet will naturally come on my head, because no one is bothered or careful about not stepping on grass. Grass, anyone can step, anyone can walk, animals can pass stool and urine, even humans can do that, and some animals can eat the grass, and nothing. The grass is just lying there on the ground. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives the reference of grass in Trunadapi Suni Chena. Truna means grass. One should be more humble than the blade of grass. So this is what a blade of grass is considered to be according to his position. It is the most lowest, and there is nothing important or special about it. Anyone can cut it, anyone can pass stool or urine on it, or anyone can step on it. It may live, or it may die, or it may again grow again, or nothing. No botherations. Trunadapi Suniche. So I want to be grass on Govardhan Parikrama Marg and in Nandagram. So devotees will step on me without any hesitation. And in this way, there is some hope that someday some pure devotee will come. And if he will step on me, I will automatically receive the dust from his lotus feet. So this is how Uddhav, he appears in the form of grass in Uddhav Kund in Govardhan Parikrama Marg. And in Uddhav Kyari in Nandagram. So Govardhan Parikrama Marg, there is Uddhav Kund, around which Uddhav appears in the form of grass. There is a small temple there on the banks of the Uddhav Kund. Now Uddhav Kund is a very small kund, hardly like 30 feet by 30 feet. Previously, these kunds were very big, even few years back, like 20, 50 years back. And in Krishna's times, they were very, very big. So there is a Radha Uddhav Bihari, 5,000-year-old deity in this temple, which was established by Vajranath. Radha Uddhav Bihari. And there is a new deity installed a few years back by Indradumna Swami of Uddhav. There is a Uddhav deity and Radha Uddhav Bihari, 5,000-year-old deity established by Vajranath, who is Krishna's great grandson. So after Uddhav Kund, the next place one comes to is Radha Kund and Sham Kund. And Radha Kund, Sham Kund is the topmost holy, auspicious place in the complete creation. Rupa Goswami specifically mentions this in Upadeshamrut, Nectar of Instruction. And along on the banks of Radha Kund, Sham Kund, there are, and within the vicinity of a couple of kilometers area, there are many places around the banks, is like maybe 30, 40 different places. And in the vicinity of a couple of kilometers, if you add them, there is Kunjera, Paniharan Kund, Malyahari Kund, many places. Mukhara. So there may be around 70 places just around Radha Kund, Sham Kund, within the vicinity of a couple of kilometers. So there is a village called Kunjera. Also Surya Kund is there. Surya Kund is also there. So there is a small village called Kunjera. Now it is called Kunjera, but the original name is Kunjara. Kunjara is Sanskrit word for elephant. Kunjarova, Narova, Kunjarova. Yudhishthir said, Narova, Kunjarova, when Dronacharya asked him about Ashwathama's death. So Kunjara means elephant. So one time when the gopis and Krishna were there, Krishna developed a desire for an elephant ride. Now there is no elephant here. In the forests of Braj, there are no elephants. There are peacocks, there are cuckoo birds, there are rabbits, there are deers, but no elephants. So he wanted to have an elephant ride. So 9 gopis, there is a nice painting. You can find it on Google. Krishna gopis, an elephant ride or something, you can search like this. It is called Nava Kunjara, 9 gopis. 9 gopis, they stood in such an arrangement that they formed an elephant. And Krishna sat on that elephant and they went around giving Krishna an elephant ride for his pleasure. So you can see this painting, this how the 9 gopis have arranged themselves in a form of an elephant with a trunk and everything. Very wonderful picture. This is Kunjara. There is Surya Kund. Then there is Mukhra. Mukhra is Radharani's mother, Kirtida. Kirtida's Maika. Kirtida's mother's house. That is Mukhra. Her name was Mukhra. So the village is named as Mukhrai. Like a couple of kilometers from Radha Kund. There is also a small kund there, a nice small temple with Mukhra, Kirtida and Radharani, 3 of them deities. Is Mukhra, Kirtida, Radharani deity in the temple. And there is a stone slab, like say 1 feet by 18 inches by 12 inches. A stone slab which is 18 inches by 12 inches. It is called Bajani Shila. Bajani Shila, as I said, it is a square, like 18 by 12 inches slab, stone slab, a rough stone slab. And there is a small stone like the size of an apple on it. And you hit that stone on the stone slab at different places, it gives you different sound. So Radharani would used to play music on it, whatever music, Sare, Gama, Pada, Nisai, it makes all different sounds at different places by just hitting the small stone on the big slab. It is called Bajani Shila. So even whenever you go, you can also play music on it. Basically, I don't have any music sense, so I don't know much about it. But anyone who has musical sense, you can go and check that. It's very nice. It makes nice sounds at different places, and you can compose something out there. So Radharani, that is Radharani's Bajani Shila. Radharani was personally playing music on that. It is still there. And around Radha Kund and Sham Kund, there are many, just on the banks of Radha Kund, Sham Kund, there are around 30, 40 different places. Like there is, basically the small ISKCON temple is also there. Then there is Radha Kunja Bihari Gaudiya Math, which was established by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There is an old Radha Krishna temple. It has also. And then there is Janwa Mataji's Baithak and Janwa Mataji's Snan Ghat in Radhakund. Just besides that Baithak is Janwa Mataji's Gopinath temple. There is Raghunath Das Goswami's Samadhi. And then there is Radha Govind Dev temple. There is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's Bhajan Kuti, where he completed writing Chaitanya Charitamrit at a very old age of more than 90 plus, where he was almost lost his vision completely. He wrote Chaitanya Charitamrit in such a state where he could hardly see. And then on completion of this Chaitanya Charitamrit, he offered it to the assembly of Vaishnavas on the banks of Radhakund on a particular day in the month of May. According to the Tithi, it normally comes in the month of May. It is still celebrated there as the Chaitanya Charitamrit appearance day, and a big festival is held there. Around 300 people attend it and have nice prasadam there. It is managed by one-man army, a very old Babaji. He has knee pain and this and that, many things, but somehow he's managing. And every time he tells me, Prabhuji, if someone is there in ISKCON, you can send him here. He can stay with me for a few years, and after I am gone, he will be the owner of this place, and he will serve Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. There are many places in Braj where one-man army is taking care of all the place, and they're old people somehow, no one mostly there to help them. Anyone who wants to help them basically is a selfish person, so they don't allow such persons there. They don't want that. Some land grabber or something like that. So anyhow, just besides that is Raghunath Das Goswami's Bhajan Kuti, Krishnadas Kaviraj Bhajan Kuti beside that. Then there is Gadadhar Pandit's small temple in honor of Gadadhar Pandit. Although Gadadhar Pandit didn't visit Braj anytime, he didn't come to Vrindavan. Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani, but he didn't come to Vrindavan. You see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you are Kshetra Sannyasi, you cannot go out of Puri. Gadadhar Pandit had taken Kshetra Sannyas. Although he followed Mahaprabhu when he was coming to Braj, at the borders of Puri, Mahaprabhu stopped him. He said, you cannot come anymore because you have taken Kshetra Sannyas of Puri. You should not go out of Puri. Because if you break some principles, then it will be an etiquette that sannyasis can break principles. This is not good. So with a very heavy heart, Gadadhar Pandit, who is Radharani, who wanted to be with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to go to Vrindavan, went back. He said, if this is your desire, I will not come. So this is how you have to serve Krishna. You can be Radharani, but if Krishna doesn't want you to go with him, you just have to stop and you don't go. Like Krishna went from Nandagram to Mathura, at a particular point, Krishna stopped the gopis and he said, now you should not follow anymore. You should go back. So the gopis finally stopped, and that is called Bichhori Kund. Bichwari Kund. Actually, the old name is Bichwari Kund. Bichadana. Bichadana means to be separate, because Krishna separated gopis from him and asked them to stop and not follow him anymore. When he went with Akrura to Mathura, it is Bichwari Kund. It is out in the fields, very difficult to go. Such a big kund and wonderful place with a couple of beard and hair matted sadhus staying there. With no facilities, just in a grass hut. That's all. Completely dependent on Krishna, out in the forest and fields, out of the habitats. The Bichwari Kund is there. It was formed by the tears of gopis when they were stopped by Krishna. A very nice, beautiful place. So this Radha Kund, there is, I was saying, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, then Raghunath Das Goswami's Bhajan Kuti. Then there is Pach Pandav trees. Pandavas, they spent some time during their Vanvas, forest time on the banks of Radha. They were here in Braj for a long time, and they stayed at Radha Kund, they stayed at Kamyavan, and they also stayed in Vrindavan at a place called Akrur Ghat. The Pandavas were staying there. for some time. So there is this Panch Pandav trees. There were five trees representing the five Pandavas, and the last one of them it was dried up and it is almost destroyed. I think when I will visit next after the lockdown, it might have disappeared completely. Just that dried dead trunk was remaining, and the local people sometimes are very reckless. They don't bother about these things and they just destroy them. So I had seen three of them 22 years back. Now one was remaining, and that one also I'm sure when I'll go after this, whenever I'll go to Radhapur, it will be like after 3-4 months. I'm planning to go maybe next week. So I don't hope to see this tree there. Many things have been destroyed. I am seeing that in the last 20 years. They are getting destroyed step by step, and some have vanished. So then there is Swananda Sukhada Kunja, just after that. This is the house of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Actually, it is house of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also used that house because it was his father's house. So it is also a nice place. There is some personal paraphernalia like walking stick and the chair and the bed, and which Bhakti Vinod Thakur was using and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was using. They are also it's a very poor place, hardly any money, one very poor Vaishnav, Gaudiya Vaishnav stays there. He has a Maun Vrat, he doesn't speak at all. And he goes to Govardhan Parikrama every day morning, 4-5 o'clock, and comes back by 10-11, and then he's there all day serving this cleaning. It's ultimately clean, up to date, but there's no facilities. So it's very difficult. I sometimes think, can some ISKCON devotee stay like this and take care of a place? I don't know anyone who can do that, including myself. So I appreciate their work. I respect them a lot because they're staying in such a horrible condition. If you will see, you would not even stay there for one day. Forget about staying the whole lifetime and taking care of the place. And because of them, these places are still there and we can go and see that. Once these people, I don't know who will take care next. And that's why slowly, some of the places have been destroyed and vanished. Then there is Radha Damodar, there is Lalita Kund, then there is Radha Vinod, Radha Madhav, there is Lagmohan Kund. Lagmohan Kund is place where Krishna he killed Shankhachud. Shankhachud he kidnapped gopis during the Ras Leela preparations were going on in Kusum Sarovar. So Krishna ran behind him. He ran towards Radha Kund. So just near Radha Kund there is a Lagmohan Kund where Krishna killed Shankhachud. This kund was practically there around 15 to 20 years back, shrinking. Finally, now it is completely vanished, and Brajvasi people have started staying there. They have built their houses there. So it is gone, completely dumped and vanished, Lagmohan Kund. So after the Lagmohan Kund, then there is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sitting place, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Baithak. Maybe I'll miss one or two because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Baithak is there where Mahaprabhu was, when Mahaprabhu was sitting on the banks of Shamkund. This is Mahaprabhu's Baithak, and you sit under a Tal tree. The tree was also there a few years back or something. The tree was also dead and gone. Then there is Radha Madan Mohan. Sanatan Goswami's Bhajan Kuti is there. Then there is Nityananda Prabhu's Baithak. When Nityananda Prabhu came, he used to stay at a small temple, Gopinath temple. So there is this Gopinath temple and Nityananda Prabhu's Baithak. And all these temples, the Gopinath, Govindev, Madan Mohan, Radha Madhav, Radha Vinod, they are all temples. Before that, they were houses of Vaishnav devotees. But what happened is when this Radha Govind, Radha Vinod, Radha Damodar, Radha Madan Mohan and Radha Gopinath, there is Radha Gopinath. They all were being shifted from Vrindavan to Jaipur because of Aurangzeb's attack in the year 1668 or 69. After Vrindavan, they made a halt at Radhakund in a devotee's house, different devotees' house, because that time there was no temple. So after spending a few days in Radhakund in hiding, then they were shifted to Kamyavan. Kamyavan also stayed in some devotee's house. Radha Gopinath stayed in some devotee's house. Radha Govind stayed in some devotee's house. Radha Madan Mohan stayed in some devotee's house. Radha Damodar stayed in some devotee's house. Radha Vinod stayed in some devotee's house. So whichever devotee's house they stayed in Radhakund and in Kamyavan, that house became their temple later on after they went to Jaipur. So there is this, all the deities that were shifted to Jaipur, Radha, Gopinath, Govindev, Madan Mohan, Radha Vinod, Radha Damodar, Radha Madhav. All this set of temples is there in Radhakund, and all this set of temples is there in Kamyavan also. And these are the places where they rested for a few nights in the houses of different devotees, which later on became the temple for that deity. So all these are Pratibhu Vigraha. In Vrindavan also they are all Pratibhu Vigraha. Radhakund and Shamkund are Pratibhu Vigraha, and the original deities are in Jaipur. So this is Radhakund, Shamkund, and specifically Radhakund and Shamkund. As I said, the topmost auspicious, holy place in this creation. And Krishna says, this is the most dearmost place for me, because it is dear to Radharani. It was created by Radharani and the gopis. Shamkund was created by Krishna in a particular Leela when Krishna killed Arishtasur. So Krishna, one time he was in the Radhakund area, and demon, Kamsa, he would send demons regularly to kill Krishna. And every time a demon would try to plan out something, how he can kill Krishna. Every demon used to make a plan. Okay, I'll go in the form of a bull, I'll go in the form of a calf, I will go in the form of a cyclone, I will go in the form of a cowherd boyfriend, I will go in this, I will go in the form of a loving mother and try to feed him breast milk. I like this, different plans. They would try to make different, every demon would use his intelligence and try to make a plan to kill Krishna. But everyone failed. That is a different thing. So this Arishtasur, he decided to come in the form of a big, huge bull. So in the big form of a big, huge bull, he came attacking towards Krishna. You know, bull means his head is down like this with his horns. He wanted to pierce Krishna's chest with his horns, chest and stomach. So he came running towards Krishna with big force. And it was huge. So Krishna, when he saw this, as soon as Arishtasur came in front of Krishna and was about to pierce his chest and stomach with his horns, Krishna held both his horns in his hands and he picked him up and swung him like this. He swung him like this and smashed him onto the ground. Now it is said that actually Arishtasur died when Krishna was swinging him only. Before smashing him on the ground, Arishtasur had died just by this swinging. By this swinging, the soul left his body. Centrifugal force or centripetal force, whatever it is. So, what happened is, the gopis, they saw this and they said to Krishna, oh, you have killed a Gohatya. Mahapap, big sinful activity. Now, because you have killed a cow and you are such a great sinful person, we cannot anymore have association with you. No friendship, no speaking, no roaming, no wandering, no talking, nothing. Because Vedic scriptures say that one should not associate with sinful person. Asatsangatyag. So we are not going to have any relationship with you. Krishna said, no, you see, this is not a bull actually, he's a demon. You can see, he's Arishtasur. said, yes, that is okay, but we understand now, but all those people who are working around in the farms and fields far away, they saw that you have killed a cow or a bull. And actually, when you killed it, it was a bull. Later on, what is the use? We think that it is a. So anyhow, the gopis are having some fun with Krishna. It is not that some serious matter or serious issue. Gopis know everything. So they are just having some fun with Krishna. They are trying to irritate Krishna as a matter of loving exchange. So Krishna says, okay, but then what should I do? You can tell me some prayashchit. If there is some pap karma, there is prayashchit. Always there is prayashchit, atonement. Prayashchit means you can negate the pap karma to a lot of extent. But if you follow some procedure properly with perfection. That doesn't encourage you to commit a sinful act or pap. Not that you commit a pap deliberately and then you do prayashchit. That way it doesn't work. But by mistake or accidental, like Prabhupada said, by mistake, sometimes accidentally, sometimes unknowingly, something wrong may happen. In such a case, there is process to negate that, which normally doesn't work in Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, all these processes don't work. They are not efficient. Because to perform these processes, you need efficient, qualified, real, true, pure Brahmins. And there is not a single Brahmin of such kind in the whole of Kali Yuga in 4,32,000 years. This is the tragedy of Kali Yuga. There's such a degradation that not even a single qualified Brahmin is there to perform any of these activities. So all these activities, they don't work because no one is qualified to perform them. So the only purificatory activity that yields results, that is efficient in Kali Yuga, is the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Other than this, nothing in Kali Yuga works. Only Harinam and Mahaprasad. Only these two things are effective and efficient. And only these two things are enough to purify one in Kali Yuga and take him back to Godhead. Or if followed and executed properly, that is important. Any process you have to follow and execute properly. Like any one of you who has learned science, in science, when we were students, we used to go in a laboratory. And in a laboratory, we perform some experiment. In a laboratory, we perform some experiment and then we note down that experiment in a diary. We write raw materials, procedure, then we write precautions, and then we write the results. So we take so and so raw materials, this, that. Then we follow this procedure. This is like this, like this, like this. And then during following of the procedure, we have to take this precautions, this 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you will get the result. This is the result of that experiment. This is science. So after performing the experiment, if you don't get the result that is mentioned in the science book, do you say this science is bogus? No, that means if you didn't get the result what is mentioned in the science book, that means you went wrong somewhere in the raw materials, or you went wrong somewhere in the procedure, or you went wrong somewhere in the precautions. That doesn't mean that science is bogus. That doesn't mean you are perfect. So that means you went wrong somewhere in raw material or procedure or precautions or all the three. So you have to check again and you have to do it again till you do it properly. The raw material should be proper, the procedure should be proper, the precaution should be proper, and if everything is there correct, then you will get the result that you should scientifically get. So similarly, the spiritual life is like that. There is raw material, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is there, Prasad is there, then there is procedure, how to chant to the best of your capacities and best of the quality and everything. Prasad, what kind of food you should eat, what you should use, what you should not use, who should cook, how to serve, this, that, everything, every minor details make difference. Because if you will go wrong somewhere in raw materials, if you will go wrong somewhere in procedure, if you will go wrong somewhere in the precautions to be taken, you will not get the desired result. So if even after following a spiritual path, according to the ISKCON Institute or the Gita or Bhagavad, if you are not getting the desired results, you are not feeling purification, you are not developing detachment from materialistic things, and your greed, anger, lust is not reducing, then there is some problem in raw material, there is some problem in procedure, there is some problem in precautions, and you need to take advice or you need to stay under someone's supervision to rectify yourself and accept advice. This is simple. This works like the normal science, because basically this is greater science than the science we learn in schools. The science we learn in schools is just a small fraction of this greater science, and all these laws in the science are actually originally applicable to the spiritual science also. Now all these Newtons, you see, Newton was a great scientist, and he basically mentioned some universal laws of motion, which are very famous. There are three laws of universal motion. Basically, they are universal laws of not only motion, they are just universal laws. It is applicable to everything. Like the third law is every action has an equivalent opposite reaction. But what happened is, Newton said this is law for physics. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But this is not law for physics. He says it is universal law and they apply it only for physics. That is their foolishness. Universal means it is applicable everywhere. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Means the action can be prasad. So your taking prasad is an action. And if you are making mistakes in that, there will be reaction. Your chanting Hare Krishna is an action. It is not physics, but it is action. If you make mistakes in that, there will be reaction. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So everything, meat eating is an action. You will get a reaction for that. So Newton just applied it to physics, but basically he called it a universal law, but they didn't understand that it has to be applied outside physics also. That is the foolishness of this scientist, which a nonsense, foolish, rascal person like me can understand. So I am more intelligent than Newton and understanding this law. Maybe I didn't find out this law, but I know where it is implemented. Newton just applied it in physics, and I know it can be applied everywhere. It is universal law. Similarly, the first law of motion, universal law of motion, is any substance, any matter. He says any matter will continue to remain in the state of rest or in the state of uniform rectilinear motion until and unless any external force acts on it to change its status. So it's true everywhere. It is universal law, not only in physics. It is applicable to everything. Any matter is you and me and the table and chair and everything. Not only matter, we are also matter. Only thing we have consciousness because of the soul. But if this consciousness is gone, this body is matter. So any matter will continue to remain in its state of rest or of uniform rectilinear motion. That means whatever, until an external force doesn't apply on it to change its status. So that is what is happening. We are conditioned souls. We don't change until an external force will be applied on it. So just to change, we have to apply an external force which is more powerful than our conditioning. Daivi esham gunamai mama maya duratteja mamupetyatu kaunteya maya mitam tarantite. So Krishna is telling that the forces which are managing you, you are under the forces that is called the modes of nature. Daivi esham gunamai mama maya duratteja. You don't have the capacity or the power or the strength to tackle that. Mamupetyatu kaunteya, anyone who surrenders to me, maya metam tarantite, he can very easily cross these forces of mode of material nature and everything. So this is external force. Otherwise, you will just continue in the state of rest or of uniform rectilinear motion, means in the state of conditioned soul, or in the state of this greed and lust and pride and envy and this and that, you will continue to stay there until and unless an external force acts on you to change your status. And this external force should be stronger than your forces, which Krishna is telling you, Mamupetya tu kaunteya, surrender. By surrendering to me, you will get that force so that you can get rid of Maya. So all these laws, they are universal laws, not only applicable to physics. The second one also, about inertia. But I am not going into that now. So basically, what I wanted to tell you is Arishtasur, about Arishtasur, Radhaku. So Arishtasur, so the gopis told him that the atonement on the Prayashchit process is that you have to go to all the holy places in this Brahmand, not a planet Earth, the complete universe. All the holy places of the Brahmanda you have to visit, and you have to take a dip in the water of these holy places. You have to take a dip in the water of all these holy places, in the kundas. And the number of these holy places is 68 crore, 680 million. 680 million holy places in this Brahmanda, from top to bottom, on this 14 lokas. So now Krishna thought, who will go to 680 million different places just to take a dip in their kunda and just the water? So Krishna, with his heel, with his foot heel, with his heel, he dug a pit. And then he invited all the Adhishtati Devatas of these 68 crore holy places to appear there with a pot of water from their kunda. And they all came there and they started pouring this one pot of water in that. After introducing them, I am so and so from so and place, so Adhishtati Devata, this is the water from my kund. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this, all 68 crore. And the gopis were so amazed to all this blinking eyes. Surprising, this is so surprising. These great personalities have come here with the water for Krishna. How is this possible? How our Krishna or Kanhaiya, they are in the Yoga Maya potency. They don't know that Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. If you are a brother of the Prime Minister, you don't love your brother because he's a Prime Minister. You just love your brother, Prime Minister or not. And you don't behave with him like he is a Prime Minister. Like you consider your brother is Prime Minister. Your father is Prime Minister. So you don't love your father or brother because he's Prime Minister. Similarly, the Brajvasis don't love Krishna because he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. They just love Krishna spontaneously. They have relationship with Krishna. So when you love your relative, it is not because he is Prime Minister or he is some big industrialist or he is a millionaire or something like that. No, not like that. It is not like that. So similarly, Brajvasis, they loved Krishna. They didn't even know or bother that who is Supreme Personality of Godhead or what difference. He may be beggar, he may be Supreme Personality of Godhead, he may be sometimes he's renunciant, sometimes he's appears as a lion and half man, and sometimes he appears as a pig, and sometimes he appears as whatever. It doesn't matter. Even when Krishna appeared as Varahadev, everyone loved him. So it is not a matter of being Supreme Personality of Godhead or something like that. So they were surprised, like how Krishna can do this? What is this? How surprising, how wonderful, how excellent, how enchanting. Every time they would be like this. They were almost in this mood when Krishna did something unique. And then Krishna took a dip in this water and he said, see, now everything should be okay. I have taken dip in all the holy waters of all the holy places of all this Brahmanda, 68 crore places. And the gopis said, yes, that is fine. Now everything is okay between you and us. We will have a relationship like normal relationship like before. But now Krishna said, but now I am not going to talk to you. He said, why? What is the reason? No, because you have sided with the demon. Sided with the demon, and then you told me because I like this. So anyone who is a demon party, you are all demon party. Anyone who is demon party, Asura party, I am not bothered about you because my job is Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chatushkritam. I am protector of devotees and destroyer of the asuras and destroyer of the demons. So anyone who is the demon party, supporter of demons, you supported Aristasura against me because you accused me of false accusation of killing a cow. Basically, when I killed Aristasura. So I am no more interested in having friendship with you because I don't have friendship with demons. I cannot have friendship with demons because basically I have to kill them. So you are all demon party. I cannot have friendship with you. And the gopis were, oh, Kanhaiya, if you will not talk to me, if you will not this, that, how will we cannot survive our life, this, that. Krishna said, no. Krishna is now trying to irritate the gopis, having some fun. So the gopis said, okay, we made a mistake, this, that. Maybe we can also perform some prayashchit. Please tell us some prayashchit, atonement. Krishna said, okay, the same rule applies to you. You have to go to all the holy places, 68 crore holy places in the Brahmanda. Take a dip in all that waters and purify yourself. But because all that water is present here in Sham Kund, what Krishna made a kund and all this water was collected by these people, that was known as Sham Kund. So you cannot use a shortcut, no shortcuts. You cannot use this Sham Kund water. You have to make your own efforts. By your own efforts, you have to do it, not my efforts. Now the gopis were in trouble. They said when Krishna invited all these people to come and with a pot of water, they came. And no one is going to come on our invitation. We cannot invite anyone. No one is going to come with a pot of water for us. What to do? How to? So then they found out an idea. They said that there is a Manasi Ganga. We heard about Manasi Ganga. It is a Ganga from the heavenly planet. Ganga is there in all the lokas. Heavenly planet, earthly planet, hellish planets, in the spiritual world. Ganga is source of all the waters in the Brahmanda. All the water in Brahmanda, the source is Ganga water. The origin. So this Manasi Ganga is not different than the Akash Ganga. And because Ganga is the source of all the waters in the Brahmanda, they said this Manasi Ganga water, Manasi Ganga is like 4 kilometers from Radha. So this Manasi Ganga water is source of all the waters in the Brahmanda because it is from Akash Ganga, and Akash Ganga water is the topmost in the Brahmanda, which is source of all the waters in Brahmanda. Although you may not see the pipelines for that, but it is there. It is Stephen Hawking's string theory. If any one of you know science and a bit more, you know Stephen Hawking, who is considered a big scientist. And he is completely handicapped. He is on a wheelchair, completely on a wheelchair. He's completely paralyzed below neck. Below neck, he cannot move his body at all. Zero since so many years. He can just head also a little bit. So he's completely paralyzed on a wheelchair, and he made a string theory that all the planets in this world and this and that, they are connected by a string and this and that and some theory. Because if you want, you can read details. You can refer to Google Acharya. So, but in one of the shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that all these planets are strung in a thread, like a necklace, like a pearls are strung in a necklace. You can see the planets, but you cannot see the thread. Like in a necklace, you can see the pearls, but you cannot see the thread because the pearls are there like this. You cannot see the thread. So it doesn't mean that the pearls are sticking to each other like this. No, there is a thread in between. So similarly, all the this is a shloka in Gita, direct shloka in Gita, the Mani Virka, that the planets are strung in a thread. All the planets in this constellation are strung in a thread. And Stephen Hawking established it as a theory named as string theory. So Stephen Hawking read the Gita and he just translated one sentence of Krishna and he said, this is like this. There is no intelligence in Stephen Hawking. He is a number one cheater and rascal and fool and a thief of philosophy. So this is what Stephen Hawking is, but he is considered a great scientist in the science world. But this is how scientists are cheats. So this is directly, you can see the shloka in Gita, where Krishna says that the planets are strung in a string. Money was something, I don't remember, I'll tell you later on. So what happens is, Krishna says you cannot use any shortcuts. So they say, okay, this Manasi Ganga is the same water, from Akash Ganga. It is the source of all the waters in the creation. So basically, all the 68 crore Tirthas water is in the water of Manasi Ganga, because that is the source of all the waters. So they decided that we will make a pit and we will bring Radha Kund, we will bring the Manasi Ganga water and fill that pit with the Manasi Ganga water, because it is the source of all the 68 crore Tirtha waters. So what they made Radharani and the gopis, with their bangles, they took their bangles, and with their bangles they made a kund, big kund, and then they lined up. They lined up in two lines. They lined up in two lines. They lined up in two lines from this Radha Kund to Manasi Ganga. And in one line, a gopi would fill a pot from Manasi Ganga water. She would give it to the next one, and next one. Like this, they would pass on the pot till it came to Radha Kund. And that would be emptied into Radha Kund. And by another line, the empty pot would go back to Manasi Ganga. The empty pot will go back to Manasi Ganga, and a filled pot would come in the another line to Radha Kund. So like this, the pots were circulating. A filled pot would come to Radha Kund, get emptied. The empty pot would go by the another line to Manasi Ganga. A filled will come like this. So in this way, they started filling Radha Kund by water pots from Manasi Ganga. Just a minute. This is in chapter 7. As I was telling you that the planets are strung in a string. Chapter 7, verse 7. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. This is what Krishna is saying. Chapter 7, Shloka 7. Just a minute. Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhanandaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana ita. Manigana eva. So this is Krishna is telling in Gita, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung in a thread. And this is what Stephen Hawking says, that everything in this universe is strung in a thread. But he doesn't say that this is managed by Krishna. So he just says the second line of the shloka. He doesn't say the first line of the shloka. Because he wants to be famous himself of proposing some new theory, basically, which is not new for people who know Bhagavad Gita nicely. So, in this way, they started to fill up Radha Kund. But filling up a big kund with a pot of water is difficult. They started huffing, puffing, sweating, and tired. And so Krishna was very merciful, seeing their intelligence and their efforts. He was satisfied. So with his flute, he made a trench. He made a trench between Shyam Kund and Radha Kund. He made a trench. After he made a trench with his flute, the water from Shyam Kund flew into Radha Kund, and Radha Kund was full. And he said, okay, you can take a bath here and everything will be okay. So they all took a bath there and everything was okay. Then the relationship was established in the normal way as before. And the gopis started glorifying Shyam Kund, and Krishna started glorifying Radha Kund. They started glorifying each other's kund. And Krishna said, every day at noon time, I will come with my Gopa friends and take a bath in Radha Kund personally. Radharani said, I will come with all my Gopi friends and I will personally take bath in Shyam Kund. So even today, every day, It's a Nitya Leela activity. At 12 noon, Radharani and gopis, they take bath in Shamkund, and Krishna and the Gopas, they take bath in Radhakund. And this perfect spot where Radharani takes bath in Shamkund is called Manasa Pavana Ghat. So it is still there. That is where Radharani takes bath in Shamkund along with the gopis, and Krishna and the Gopas take bath in Radhakund. So in this way, this is Radhakund Shamkund Leela. As I said, it is a daily activity. Whatever daytime Leelas will be different Leelas every day will be planned by Kunda Devi and everything. And I told you one day about Vrindakund. I think, I don't remember. But so 12 noon, a bath in Radhakund and Shamkund is a daily compulsory activity in this Leelas. Even today, every day, this happens at 12 noon. So this is Radhakund and Shamkund. We'll stop here today. There are many more things to say, many more Leelas around Radhakund, Shamkund. Next, that is tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll go on Radhakund, Shamkund, Parikrama Leela places, which fall in Radhakund, and which are just around Radhakund and Shamkund. Some places which are there, that we'll try to discuss tomorrow. Today we'll stop here, and there is time for question answers. If anyone has a question, you can unmute your mic and ask a question. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Yes.
प्रभु जी, आपने बताया कि कृष्णा के ग्रेट ग्रैंडसन थे वज्रनाथ, लेकिन हमको तो अब तक यही पता था कृष्णा का वंश समाप्त हो गया था.
Yes, except one.
अच्छा.
Krishna's son was Pradyumna. Pradyumna's son was Aniruddha. If you have read Krishna book by Prabhupada, and if you remember, there is a chapter called Marriage of Aniruddha and Usha. Out of there are 90 chapters in Krishna book, 90 chapters. And one of the chapters is Marriage of Aniruddha and Usha. Aniruddha is son of Pradyumna, and this son of Aniruddha and Usha is Vajranath. And he built more than 100 temples in Braj Mandal in honor of his great grandfather Krishna, who is also Supreme Personality of Godhead. So anyone else, any other question? Anyone has a question?
Vajranabh also built the Dwarka temple also.
Vajranabh, yes, Dwarkadhish.
And one more
and I will tell you one more information. Vajranabh Samadhi is in Karela, in Braj. In Braj Mandal, there is a village called Karela, which is Champak Lata's house there. And in this Karela village, there is Vajranabh Samadhi. So at the end, Vajranabh had left everything, the kingdom and everything, and he had come and retired in Braj.
Okay, Vajranabh also the pure devotee of Krishna.
Yes, yes.
And which place you told that Radha, that musical Shila is there?
That is in Mukhra. Mukhra is Radharani's grandmother, maternal grandmother's house, Kirtida's mother.
Mukhra, okay. We never visited Prabhu that place.
Yes, we have not visited many places.
Yeah, please next time.
Okay, anyone else?
प्रभु जी, ये जो आप बता रहे थे ना बजनी शीला, इसके नाम पे वहाँ पे गांव, हाँ, इसके नाम पे गांव है बाजना, वहीं के पास में.
हाँ, बाजना है, मुखरा है, वो दोनों वहीं पे.
हाँ जी, तो बाजना जो गांव वहाँ की मेरी मम्मी है.
अच्छा, आपकी मम्मी बाजना की है. तो
हाँ जी, और ये जो आपने बताया बिजवारी कुंड,
हाँ,
तो इसके नाम पे भी एक गांव है, बिछोरी गांव
है. हाँ,
हाँ जी,
बिछोरी है. उसके पास राधाकुंड के पास एक बसौती है.
हाँ जी.
ये सब गांव अलग अलग गांव हैं जिनमें कुछ लीला, बसौती की भी लीला है, लेकिन
हाँ, जो भी लीला की है उसके बेसिस पे वहाँ पे गांव है.
हाँ, लीला के इस पे नाम पड़ जाते हैं गांव के. यहाँ
जी.
हरि बोल, हरे कृष्णा. So
Hare Krishna,
Anyone?
Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Thank you so
anyone
much.
question or we end today?
Prabhu, how is situation at Vrindavan?
Situation regarding Corona is no problem. There is no Corona here. ISKCON temple is open 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening only for ISKCON devotees currently. The congregation ISKCON devotees who are staying outside the temple. They can just go and follow social distancing and have darshan and come out in 10 minutes. It's like just go and like that.
Other temples?
Other temples are still closed. Bhakti Bihari is closed. And there are some of them have opened, very limited. Most of them are closed. So, okay, we'll meet tomorrow. Tomorrow evening again at 7:30 p.m.